So we have all these tools to connect with people, right? More than ever before. But are they actually making us any happier? It's a huge question, and a really fascinating study just uncovered this surprising twist about what kind of connections really matter for our well-being. So let's dive right in.
You might recognize this line from the movie The Social Network. We lived on farms, then in cities, and now we will be living on the internet. Man, does that hit home today. I mean, think about it. Our social lives, our whole communities, so much of it happens through a screen now.
And that right there, it brings us to this massive paradox. We can instantly chat with someone on the other side of the planet. We've got hundreds, maybe even thousands of friends online. So why doesn't all that connection automatically make us happier? Why do so many studies, and let's be honest, our own lives, show this huge disconnect? That's the puzzle we're going to try and solve today.
Okay, so if you're gonna solve a puzzle like this, first things first, you need the right tools. I mean, seriously, how do you quantify something as messy and human as friendship? Especially on a huge scale. You can't just guess. You need some kind of scientific yardstick.
And that yardstick, it has a name. It's called the Social Connectedness Index, or SCI for short. Basically, researchers came up with this clever way to use Facebook data to measure how strong the social ties are between different places. And trust me, this is the key to understanding everything else we're about to look at.
All right, don't get scared off by the formula here. It looks complicated, but it's actually pretty simple. Think of it like a fraction. The number on top is just the total number of Facebook friendships between two places. And the number on the bottom? That just adjusts for how many people are on Facebook in each of those places. It's just a way to make sure you're comparing apples to apples. It gives us a really solid, standardized number for how connected two places are. So what does that actually mean? Well, to put it simply, a high SEI score between, let's say, Chicago and Miami means that a person living in Chicago is way more likely than average to have a Facebook friend in Miami. It's a super powerful tool for mapping out the social connections of an entire country.
Okay, so with this SCI tool in hand, researchers launched this absolutely massive study in India. And when I say massive, I mean it. They analyzed a data set with over 60 million friendship links, and their goal was to see if there's a connection between these social ties and mental well-being, specifically by looking at something as serious as suicide rates.
All right, let's get into the data. This is the first big chart. It might look a little busy, but it's pretty straightforward. Going up and down on the vertical axis, that's the suicide rate. Obviously, higher is worse. And then going from left to right on the horizontal axis, that's the local SCI score. So the further to the right you go, the more locally connected a place is. And right away, you can kind of see a pattern forming, one that pretty much matches what you'd expect.
So yeah, this pretty much confirms what we'd all guess, right? You can see how the dots generally slope down from left to right. What that tells us is that on the whole, districts with stronger local social ties, a higher SCI, also tend to have lower suicide rates. You can see states like Bihar and Uttar Pradesh down there in the bottom right. They're a perfect fit for this pattern. More local friends equals better outcomes. Seems simple enough?
But hang on a second. It's not that simple. Take a closer look at the chart, up at the top. What is going on with Kerala and Tamil Nadu? They're pretty far to the right, which means they're highly connected locally. But they also have some of the highest suicide rates on the entire chart. They completely break the pattern. And that is the paradox. Why isn't all that connection helping them? What's different?
So to figure this out, the researchers had to dig deeper. They realized it's not just about how many friends you have. They needed to look at the shape, the very structure of those friendship networks. Because, as it turns out, not all social networks are created equal. And wow, this visual just says it all. These are called chord diagrams, and they show us the difference so clearly. Look at Bihar on the left. See how the connections are these thick, heavy arcs? That shows that most friendships are local, happening right there inside the district. Now look at Kerala on the right. It's just a crazy web of thin little lines crisscrossing all over the place. The friendships are totally spread out, much more dispersed. So let's just spell it out. In places like Bihar and Uttar Pradesh, the social networks are what you'd call geographically anchored. They're all about those concentrated local bonds, the kind of thing that probably reflects a strong in-person social life. But then you have Kerala and Tamil Nadu. Their networks are geographically diffuse, spread out, with lots of distant ties. This suggests people there might rely more on those purely online relationships.
And boom, there it is. That's the big reveal. It's not just about the number of friends you have. That's not the whole story at all.
The thing that really seems to protect our well-being is the structure of our friendships. It looks like having strong, local, concentrated ties is way more powerful than having a huge, spread-out network of distant online friends.
Okay, so what do we do with all this? What's the big takeaway from this study in India? Well, it has some really huge implications for every single one of us trying to figure out how to live our lives online.
The bottom line seems to be this: the friendships that are most vital for our mental health are the ones that are close by and deeply rooted. You know, the kind of in-person community that's been the bedrock of human society forever. Online networks, they're amazing tools, for sure, but it seems they're at their best when they're actually supporting and strengthening those real-world local connections. And that leaves us with a really important question to think about, right? As more and more of our community life moves online, we have to be really deliberate about it. How do we make sure we're using these incredible digital tools not just to rack up a long list of distant friends, but to actually build and support the local, real-world connections that truly anchor us? It's something we all need to think about in this digital age.